And so our approach over the last 30 years has always been, as you said, strategy before tactics. And where people waste a lot of money, unfortunately, in marketing is they'll just dive into these different tactics. They have no idea if it's working or not.
Right.
They're not being as successful as possible because they didn't take a step back and look at the overall strategy.
One of the very first introductions I got to marketing was duct tape marketing. As a dude here in the Middle Tennessee area, love the name because I have all the use in the world for duct tape marketing, not to mention that you have almost certainly heard of John Jantz. And today I got super lucky and managed to get Sara Nay, the COO of duct tape marketing. She comes on, breaks down how to find your ideal client, get your messaging right, put the pieces in place that you need to set up the foundation of your marketing that will ultimately allow you to do a whole lot more by doing a whole lot less. Do more by doing less. With me, Charles Alexander, for small business owners, startups, and busy folks. Let me ask, I've listened to John forever, seen him, listened to his podcast interviews and all this other cool stuff. But what I've never asked is, how did you guys come up with duct tape marketing?
It's a funny story. There's different versions of it over the years, but essentially the idea behind the duct tape marketing is everyone knows the tape. It's practical, it's
Right.
efficient, it's affordable. And so those are some common words that are associated with the tape, and everyone knows about it. And so our approach to marketing, if you ask people to describe our brand over the years, people will say practical and efficient and affordable because we've always served the small business
That's
space.
right.
And with targeting the small business audience, John wanted to create a marketing system that worked for them, and the tape came to mind, and it's stuck essentially from there.
Ayo. And I've seen the logo transfer over the years, but I don't think he ever used actual duct tape. And I always hoped he would.
Yeah, we never actually we've stayed away from using the actual tape in our logo for the most part, but it's funny, we still get from time to time messages from our website that's literally like a kid or an adult saying, "I want this type of tape created next," or "I use tape for this purpose,"
Bless.
and then we get all kinds of stories, and we feel like we're pretty clear on our website, we're a marketing agency, but
That's
people
awesome.
Google duct tape, we come up, and they submit their requests anyway.
I understand. How long have you been the COO of duct tape marketing? It's been for a minute.
Yeah, it's been probably about 4 or 5 years now that I've been in that specific role, but I've been with duct tape marketing since 2010.
Right. Oh, that's been most of the time. Been business coaching for 17 plus years. Primarily now I try to focus on just the title of the podcast here, do more by doing less. But in so much of that, marketing is a big piece of the puzzle. And people will ask
Yeah.
me, what's the most efficient way? What's the quickest way? They always want to jump straight into tactics first. And it's been the bane of my existence marketing wise. And luckily, you guys, following you forever, listening to you forever, reading the books, you're very much strategy first, which people do not like. They just want you to give them the easy button and do this, and all will work. And it just doesn't go that way. Can you give us the 30,000-foot view of how somebody could honestly do more by doing less by focusing on the strategy first?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we hear that all the time, but unfortunately, I think, like, the quick and easy things for marketing, like, they might work in the moment, but they're not gonna set you up for long-term success, and that's just something to keep in mind, you gotta put the work in, and so our approach over the last 30 years has always been, as you said, strategy before tactics, and where people waste a lot of money, unfortunately, in marketing is they'll just dive into these different tactics. They have no idea if it's working or not.
Right.
They're not being as successful as possible because they didn't take a step back and look at the overall strategy. And so, a clear example is a lot of times people will focus on, okay, we should be doing paid advertising, let's say. And so they dive into paid advertising, but then they don't understand their target market. They don't really know how to target the correct people. And then they also don't understand their messaging that will connect and bring those people in. And then after that, you have to have a website built out, or a page, at least a landing page built out to direct your ads traffic to, and the copy there isn't telling a story, and then they don't have like the nurture campaigns associated with it. You can't just do something like a tactic like paid ads without thinking through those things. And our strategy first approach helps people understand their ideal clients on a deep level. So not just like revenue and number of employees. It's what are their fears, what are their frustrations, what does success look like to them. You need to understand people on that level to market to them. And then from there, you need to understand what message resonates with them and what brings them in. How can you tell the story that you can solve their problems and set them up for where they're trying to go? And then the next piece in strategy is the customer journey. How can you get people to know, like, trust, try, buy, repeat, refer your business, and then identify growth priorities and putting that all into an execution calendar. Strategy is a lot of work initially to go through, but it allows you to say, these are the channels we should be focusing on with this message to target these specific people. And
Mhm.
but oftentimes helps you do less in terms of marketing because you're not just trying all of these different
Right.
things. You're focusing on the channels that your clients already are on and you're connecting with them effectively there.
You going back to that very beginning is always one of the first questions I ask. And I'd love to hear how you handle this answer because I'm at a point where I almost take a number two pencil and put it right through my ear when I say, "Hey, Sarah, so tell me, who's your targeted customer?" And they say, "Well, it's funny you should ask." And our customer could be, who do you think they say?
Anyone.
Anybody. Yeah, anybody.
Yeah.
We sell hats. Anyone with a head. Ha ha ha. And I've had to explain over and over and over and trying to get people to narrow down first just the demographics, the psychographics, their all their behaviors and their feelings. That's even more important, but it's secondary. But I have, you know, financial advisors listen to this, and several will say, "Well, it could be anybody from 25 to 85 that wants to retire one day." Or great, you just named off everyone. What do you
Yeah.
do to start helping them get narrowed down or a little more focused and get them over the fear of I'm not casting a wide enough net?
Yeah. And I think the thing to keep in mind is like in your financial advisor example there, like they still might have clients that are 25 and they still might have clients that are 85, but helping them focus on a core group will help them attract that core group. And so it's not that we're saying you can't serve anyone other than
Right.
who you're identifying as your core group, but focusing on them will help get in front of them more. And so essentially what we do as part of our strategy process is we actually have our clients give us 10 to 15 of their best clients
Ooh.
information, and then we conduct interviews with those clients and we can learn about them. And when we're asking for your best clients, it's who's been with you over the years, who's profitable, who do you love working with, who do you want to attract more people like them. And we get 10 to 15 clients, we schedule client interviews, and in those client interviews we're learning as much as we can about their best clients. Then we can create personas for those best clients, and we can also create messaging that directly speaks to those best clients. And if you're sitting there thinking like, I don't know who my best clients are, just analyze your client list and look for those things. Who refers you, who is profitable, who do you love working with, who do you want to attract more of, people like them. And that's a great starting point to then learn more about that specific group.
I must have been stopping short this whole time because I always advise, all right, go look at your entire client list, print it out of QuickBooks or wherever you've got them hidden. Pick out the top 10 being a combination of revenue and do you like them? Don't pick out
Yeah,
a top revenue person if you would not be stuck in an elevator with them 5 minutes without
exactly.
hoping it crashes. Those people don't count, but the people that you want to work with, but you take it even a step further. So let me ask, how do you guys, so when if I hand you my top 10 list, what do you tell, how do y'all broach going straight to the customer? Is there like an introduction email that I have to send that puts you
Yep.
on the copy?
That's exactly it. We send copy to our clients and we say, here's an introduction email that you can use to introduce us. But basically, we just have them explain that they're working on their marketing strategy and they love working with them as a client and they want to
Mhm.
bring in people like them and they appreciate their relationship over the years. Just kind of a nice email to make them feel good. But then they're expecting to hear from us and they put our calendar
Right.
link right in there and then we follow up and book it from there.
What what are some of the questions you're asking these folks?
It's all based on two things. We're trying to develop personas, ideal client profiles, whatever language you want to use, but we're trying to develop those and we're also trying to develop messaging. And so
Right.
all of our questions are based on trying to develop those pieces. And so we start off with just like basic persona information, like depending on B2B or B2C, but like, where do you live and what's your business, and just
Mhm.
like learning about them. But then we go into more of their experience with the company. And so we shape our questions based on our hourglass concept. And so we ask questions about like, how did you get to know about them? And then once you learned about them, like, how did you find out more
Mhm.
information about them online? Did you read reviews? Did you read case studies? Did you sign up for their email? Because we're trying to learn how they got to like and trust them. And then when you tried them for the first time, did you do a free consultation or a free trial program? And then when you bought, what was your experience like? And so we're basically
Mm.
asking them questions through the customer journey, and then repeat, are you still a repeat customer? Could you be about their other products and services? And then the refer is, do you refer them today? And what do you say when you're referring them? And so we're basically just trying to learn about the client and them as a client, but also their experience throughout the whole entire customer journey, because then we're able to take that information and we're able to say, are there gaps in the customer journey? But we're also to making sure that our messaging speaks throughout all of those stages as well.
You would almost need an intermediary to come in and do this for you, because if I'm asking my customers directly, I'm not going to get the same answers you get, correct?
Yeah, and it is a bit of a science. Like, there's basic interview questions, but you always have to ask more. Like, we know what we're looking for in terms of messaging. If someone says like, "Oh, they provide good service, that's why I stick with them."
Yeah,
It's like,
but what
well,
does that mean?
yeah, what does that mean? Tell me more. Expand on it. Tell me an example of a time you experienced the good service. And so you really have to be willing to pry. We also do ask for areas of improvement, which is a big piece as well.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, if our client, they're their best clients, they're really happy. Like, we don't always find stuff, but we
Yeah.
found that people are way more honest with us
Oh
than
yeah,
they
if I
probably
ask,
would be to their client. Yeah.
how can I get
Um,
better? Well, yeah. Well, one thing, Charles, when you email me 2 days late, that really
yeah.
frustrates me.
Yeah. And that improvement piece is really valuable feedback, because maybe they'll say something like, we've used them for this over the years, but we wish they added this product or service line. And it might be waking us up to more opportunity for additional revenue growth for the business.
When looking at doing that, you just said the word messaging, which is huge. I'm a big, not to mix brands here, but story brand type stuff where
Yeah.
you've got this process of the customer journey, so to speak. But so many people, the messaging is just either non-existent or generic, I've discovered. And I've been guilty of this too. When I'm trying to got a program helping people create a 4-day work week, and I've had to revise it, retune it, and find all of what you said earlier, all of the pain points and the little areas that they're get in their feels a little bit. And if I'm trying to interview my own customers, they're not gonna give me that. They give it to you. How do you go about mapping out the messaging after you do an interview
Yeah.
or stuff?
After we conduct all the interviews, we just look for common themes that people set across the board. Also, with the messaging, we do a lot of other research as well. And we also do competitive research, for example. And so we're looking at what their competitors are saying. Because the thing with the core message is, well, there's lots of components to it, but it needs to speak to your ideal clients and it
Right.
needs to be unique to your business. And so you want to see what your competitors are saying, not so you can copy them, but so you can say something different than them.
Ooh.
Because when your messaging is different, then you're no longer competing on price at that point. And that's why it's so important to nail. And so really we read all the reviews and stories we can find online about a business. We do the 10 to 15 client interviews, we research the competitors, and then we put all of that together to work on the messaging from there. But the messaging, it starts with like the one tagline above the fold, right on front center on
Right.
your website. It should be the first thing that people see, because when people come to your website, you have, I don't know the research directly, but a second maybe to get their attention, to get them to want
Right.
to read more.
Isn't that
And
funny?
so
It keeps getting shorter and shorter.
yes, yes, exactly. And there needs to be something that when someone lands on your website, it's like, okay, you can solve my problems. You work with people like me, and I want to continue reading. That's the goal with like the initial core message that you should have on the front and center of your website, or the top of your website above the fold on your website. And so you're not telling your whole entire story, but you're piquing their interest enough to say, okay, I'm going to scroll. That's the goal with that.
Something like increase revenue and profits with a simple and proven marketing system.
Yeah. And I always say with something like that, are you the only one that could say that, or could all your competitors say that? And what does that mean to your specific ideal clients? Yeah, there's always push. And another one that I see all the time is like, we've been in business for 30 years. Could other people in business that have been in 30
100%
years could say
right.
the same thing? And also, like, what does that mean to your clients? What's the value they're going to get out of that as well? So, like, yes, being in business for 30 years is a great accomplishment, but you have to tell the story of why does that matter to the clients that you're serving? What value are they going to get out of that, and not just that statement?
I see that and have argued that until I am blue in the face. Your years of experience are awesome. And everybody else, like with proven 30 years experience, locally owned, or name off their certifications or awards they've won. And that's the exact thing I've said. Your competition, if I go to your website and I go to your competition's next 5 websites, do they all look, walk, and talk the same? Is there even a headline? And if it is, does it stand out? Is it unique? Is it different? Is it specific? When looking at doing that, do you guys, and not, and it, is it as simple to say like there's a bit of a formula after you do all the research? There's, I don't, maybe not like a full template, but is it like I target these people that with this problem and I give them this solution and they get this results? Is it something like that?
Yeah, essentially, it's like I work with these people, and this is the problem that I address, and these are the solutions I get. Like that's a kind of the formula of it. And there's a lot you can do in terms of flexibility and playment with that. But really, you have to have the component of this is our target audience in there. You have to have the component of like this is the problem we solve for, and then also, and this is what success can look like. It's that whole story of transformation. You don't necessarily have to get that all in one line. Your one line might be this is the people we work with and the problem we solve. Like that might be your one line statement that we call a core message or a talking logo. And then your supporting description can get more into like the story of transformation and what you do and the results and all of that stuff. But you definitely want to get your target audience and the problem you solve in that initial message.
I heard you mention a minute ago, you were also talking about customer journey. How's that different than the messaging? And what do you mean by customer journey?
Customer journey is also, we call it, our concept is the marketing hourglass. And so that's what I was mentioning earlier, that how do you get people to know, like, trust, try, buy, repeat, and refer a business? And on a website, it starts with the core message, which is above the fold, the first thing you see, but then you want to continue to build trust and build a relationship with a prospect so then they're ready to move forward with your services. And when you're thinking about a website, specifically, because as we were talking about, you want to have the message, but then you need to have different components to get people to like and trust and try your services in most cases. And those components can be things like an email newsletter or case studies, testimonials, reviews
Mhm.
off of the website. Video is great for building like and trust. And your content starts with that message to pull people in, but then you have to continue to pique their interest, to speak to them directly, to nurture a relationship of some sort before then they're ready to say, okay, I'll sign up for this free consultation or whatever your call to action is for people to
Sure.
try and move forward.
Do you have a, and I know I always hate asking this question and getting answered, having to answer the question because it's like the English professor when you said, "How long does a paper need to be?" And they say, "Well, as long as it takes." Well, that being said, do you have like an average number of touch points or pieces of content that takes a customer on a journey, or is that price based? Is it industry based?
It's price, industry based. It depends on sales cycle, I would say. And so, like, I'll talk about our business specifically. We work with we certify fractional CMOs, marketing consultants, agencies in our approach. That's one side of our business.
Right.
And we have people that have been on our list for 10 years, consumed
Oh,
I don't know how many pieces of
they
content. And
they
now the
have they
timing
have
is right.
AOL and Hotmail accounts.
Yeah, exactly. And now the timing is right and they decide to move forward because what we're selling, we also have people that join us after they've heard about us for 2 days and the messaging and the timing is right and they move forward. And it really just depends on what you're selling. But if it's a higher ticket program, like oftentimes there's a lot more nurturing and education that needs to come in play versus if you're an e-commerce business selling something for $5, it's very a quick purchase in a lot of cases. It just really depends on number, and timeline depends on what you're selling, but making sure that you have things in each of those categories, the know, like, trust, try, buy,
Mhm.
repeat, refer, is really important. Where a lot of people miss when they start thinking about marketing is like they'll do a lot for no, like we need to get in front of more people, which is true, but then they hope
Sure.
like they can go straight to buy. They kind of miss the like
Yeah, they
and
wanna
trust
step they
building
wanna
and the
step
try.
step.
Yep. And then after they buy, like a lot of people I see miss on, can you do repeat revenue? Can you stay top of mind? Can you sell reoccurring things? Like that's an area people need to build out more. And then people like hope that their clients will refer them, but they haven't put the work in the whole way to like earn the referral. And that's where I see the most common gaps in terms of the content. It's They're doing a lot for no, they're skipping over like, trust, and try. They're doing okay at buy. There's kind of skipping over repeat in a lot of cases, and they're kind of skipping over referrals. Really just mapping that out and seeing what yours looks like today in terms of what you're doing in each of those steps is often very eye-opening in terms of where you have opportunity.
As somebody starts going through this process and they start hitting at least most of the steps, they know who their target customer is. They got the messaging pretty accurate. They've started to map out the customer journey. They've identified a growth opportunity for repeat business. So then that's where the rubber starts meeting the road. That's the step that people want to just skip straight to. It's like, all right, now I figured all of that out ish. And when I say ish, and correct me if I'm wrong, that's something that evolves and changes like all the time, yearly at least, that you're having to go back and tweak that. But then what do you tell them in terms of content creation and then lead strategy? And I know it's based off the customer, but in most cases, when they're building the know, like, trust factory, you already mentioned it. What do you guys start talking to them about at that point?
Yeah, after you've done those steps, as you said, ideal client, messaging, customer journey, then basically we work on a content plan there. That's another area that I see a lot of people struggling with is they just produce more and more content, but we're
Yeah.
more in the mindset of the right content speaking to the right audience. And so you've done all of this research. Now it's okay, you've understand your clients, you understand their pains, their frustrations, what they're trying to get to, and so you shape your content around that specifically moving forward and also analyzing your products and services. And so basically at the end of our strategy approach, we create what we call hub pages, outlines for our clients, which are
Mm.
essentially, okay, what is a global theme that you should be writing on for ours? Like one of our topics is scaling a fractional CMO business, because that's one of the products that we basically sell. And so we've created a hub page around that topic. And then you basically create what are the sub themes under that. And then you write content to then build out what we call a hub page on your website moving forward. And so it gives a lot of focus to your content because you're no longer just saying, what should we write about today? It's what are people out there searching for? What problems does our product solve? Okay, what content should we write around that to get in front of them when they're out there searching, but also have a really valuable page on our website that talks directly to them.
When you say a hub page, is that different than having a tab that's basically resources with 10 different things that could absorb under it? Or do you mean a hub page like if this is that it's for a service or a specific customer?
Yeah, a hub page is a page on your website that you would build out that basically has all of these blog posts listed out in order, but then all of the blog posts link back to this hub page. Then Google identifies it as a really important page on your website. And for ours, like scaling a fractional CMO business would be the name of the page. And
Yeah.
then we would have like sub themes under that. It might be bringing in partners to help implement might be like an example sub theme, and then we would have like blog posts written on that topic directly on that page as well. And so essentially it becomes like a guide or a pillar page if that's more familiar language, but it becomes a guide for people that has all of the information organized in a really helpful way if they're trying to learn about the topic of scaling a fractional CMO business. And so we've kind of, well, we have gone away from the days of like you should just be blogging and posting stuff on your blog,
Hmm.
because it's a lot harder for people to come in and find the relevant information that they need. And so when you're approaching it with these hub pages, like they're able to go and you're basically organizing your blog content.
Sure.
So it's all telling a story on one page, and then people aren't having to then go read your blog and find all of the content that
Yep.
you've written on scaling a fractional CMO agency because it's all in one place for them to be able to consume. And it's also a big SEO play because Google identifies it as a really important page on your website on that topic because of all the interlinking that takes place with the blogs.
How does somebody identify a piece that they want to quote unquote give away that's bigger and more important than a video or blog, but not giving away the farm, so to speak? So you got, let's say, coaches and consultants that listen, and some of them have high ticket programs, or they have maybe they have an agency like yours and they want to bring people on for a monthly retainer. How do they identify what they can, I'll just say it again, they can give away, but that it is right in the sweet spot of not giving too much away and it being valuable enough?
Yeah, I think it just really depends on, again, what you're selling in a lot of cases. For us, like when we're selling our program, it's a bigger investment. Like we have a consultation, we do a lot of free content in terms of like blog posts and podcasts and ebooks and all of that good stuff.
Mhm.
But then we have smaller products that you can purchase, like a lead generation course, to then be able to decide if you want our full program. And so it just comes down to who are you serving, what interests them? Do they want a course? Do they want an ebook? Do they want a guide? Do they want video training? Just kind of understanding what would represent your product or service well that you're selling, and then also what would be valuable and bring people in that are your target market. There's not like one, here's the best thing to give away. It's more of understanding your clients,
Gotcha.
understanding your products and services, and then determining what's the most value to kind of match the two together.
I've got my customer's journey. We got the messaging. Got content that's starting to resonate. I'm scheduling it, getting out there. Other than sales, which is obviously the metric, how else do I know if it's working? How do I set goals? What do I check on?
Yeah, that's a great question because that's when we've surveyed our audience over the years, like that's the number one area that we see people struggle with marketing is they'll just start doing these things and they're like, are they successful or not? Is it working or not? And once you determine, okay, these are the 4 to 6 things we're going to work on over the next quarter in terms of growth priorities, which is typically what we recommend. It's planning in quarters and deciding like 4 to 6 things from a marketing perspective that you're going to work on.
Mhm.
Then you should next step before you actually do anything is determine what metrics are going to show that those things are successful or not. And so it just is dependent on what you're doing. But if you're doing like paid advertising, for example, there are a lot of metrics along the way that you should be tracking because you can optimize each step in the journey. But something like a referral program, that is probably less metrics to really focus on. Maybe you're setting people up on an affiliate account and tracking when the payments come in and see how successful that's being. And I highly encourage, like, don't do any marketing implementation until you sit down and say, what metrics should we be focusing on? What are some goals? What would success look like? Because then you're basically testing and you're seeing if you should continue to do that thing moving forward.
Gotcha.
Uh, and another example, like all the time people do direct mail, if they're doing direct mail, and they'll send it out and they're like, I think we got phone calls off of it. And it's like,
Yeah.
why are you going to keep doing it? And so if you're going to send direct mail, you need a call tracking number on there so you can
Mhm.
track the specific numbers of phone calls. And you also need to be able to track if those calls turned into revenue to see if that's an avenue you should do again.
That is, look, that's a ton of information in less than 27, 26 minutes there about
Yeah.
finding all things about that. That's the creating the strategy piece of the puzzle, folks. This is why we need to build the strategy out first. If you want to do more by doing less, the doing more part is just throw in. I always used to call it spaghetti marketing, Sarah. I don't know if you got kids, but I got three. And when we were little, we cooked spaghetti a lot because it was easy. And then if you want to see when it's done, you take a noodle and you throw it against the wall, and if it's stuck, yay, and then it was done. By the way, we had to quit doing that because after you go through like a pot of spaghetti and you have a big mess to clean up, it's no good. But that's what so many people do for
Yes.
their marketing, and it's maddening. And the way you describe it is a lot of work on the front end, but it's good work because it eliminates a lot of the back end process. Correct?
Yeah, I mean, I always tell people, I was like, it does feel like a lot of work. It is on the front end. Usually it takes us like 30 to 45 days when we're doing strategy for a client. But ultimately, it will set you up for more success long term. It will save you from wasting time, energy, and money long term because now you're not just guessing and hoping, as you said, you're
Mhm.
working on things that are research based to connect with your clients. And then you're testing and tweaking based on metrics that you've identified moving forward. And it really systemizes your marketing, which is something we've always said over the years, versus the guessing game that you will waste more time and energy if you don't take a step back.
With that being said, we'll take a quick switch here we'll focus on you, Sarah. What is, and this is a fun question I ask everybody in my fun. I don't think anybody thinks it's fun. What is, in thinking about doing more by doing less, what is something that you personally should be doing less of right now? Whether
You
that's in
know,
your business or anywhere else.
in business or anything else,
Huh.
I've really stepped into my role as the COO, and I feel like I've stepped into delegation. Buy Back Your
Mm.
Time is one of my
Dan
favorite
Martinelli.
books. Dan Martell. It's a really great book. If you haven't read it, recommend it. Sounds like you have. But I'm thinking through like doing less in business wise. Like I'm still involved in our consulting and managing a lot of our consulting in the strategy phase because I'm
Hmm.
passionate about it and I love it. But we have a great consulting team in place and trying to take a step back and letting them handle that where I can focus more on the operations side of our business. And then I was doing sales for a long time. And in the last 2 months, I've officially stepped out of sales, which is
Ooh.
really exciting because I love sales. It's enjoyable. I love connecting with people and adding value, but we have a great team in place now handling
Now that you're out of sales, what are you going to be doing more of as the COO?
that. A lot of my focus is working with John, who's our CEO, coming up with our quarterly priorities, what we're going to focus on business wise, and then bringing that to the team and making sure it all comes to life. And then also a big focus of mine has been on hiring because we are hiring and building our team internally. And so a lot of my
Hmm.
focus has been, okay, what are we trying to accomplish? Okay, can we accomplish that with our team? If not, who do we need to hire? And then handling the hiring and onboarding and process. And I also focus a lot on building our culture. We're a remote team. And we put a lot of emphasis in having a great team because we found over the years, if you have a great team, it's a lot of fun, but also
Yeah.
the more value we can bring to our clients long term because people learn so much over the years and grow. They're able to provide more value to our clients as well.
And it's fun having a great team.
It is. It's a lot of
All
fun.
right. Sarah, how does somebody find you?
You can find me on LinkedIn. Sara Nay is my name on LinkedIn. Also on our website, we have some great free resources for small businesses or fractional CMOs. But we have a web page you can visit. It's
Ooh.
dtm.world/growth. And you'll find a bunch of free assets there as well.
Boom. All right. Fast and Furious, Sarah. And then, by the way, folks, Sarah, that is Sarah with no H. Sarah, thank you so much, Sarah, for spending a little time with me today. I appreciate it. And you have a great rest of your day.
Thanks for having me.
Don't take off just yet. I've created a new program just for you, helping overworked entrepreneurs create their very own 4-day work week in 90 days or less. Look, if you'd rather spend more time with family, friends, traveling, exercising, having the time to do what you want instead of, I don't know, putting out never-ending fires, tackling another to-do list, and checking email at 9 p.m., then go to my website, yourcharlesalexander.com. If you've created the income you want but don't have the time freedom you deserve, then this is for you. And as always, if you don't, an angel may actually lose its wings. True story. Have a great day.